Michelle from Women Who Wow, the premier online coaching and mentoring platform for the seriously driven woman entrepreneur. And I cannot wait to meet you, to get to know you, to learn about your business. Women Who Wow is the place where women come to build wild success on their own terms, without apology, without acquiescing, without following the Stepfordpreneur March. And so if you know that you were born for more, but you are not willing to give up all the things that you love about your life in order to create the business that you want, then you have found your tribe here. So I'm so excited that you're with me. And I have worked with thousands of women, if not tens of thousands of women at large events and in speaking gigs and stuff like that. And I have identified the top 5 killers of income, impact, and influence for women entrepreneurs. And I want to talk to you about those and the kryptonite for each one of those killers. And here's the thing, like, for all of us, income, impact, and influence, they all go together, right? Like, you're not going to be able to raise your impact and influence, right, in impact in people's lives and influence in the industry without also raising your income. They do travel together. And so when we look at the things that just kind of squash any of those three, what happens is we get the kryptonite for it and we can quickly fix it, and all three begin to rise. So I'm so excited that you're here with me. I do have to take just a minute to share this so that the right people see this video and get what they need from it. One of the things that I am committed to doing is making sure that I am stepping in and stepping up for the women entrepreneurs of the world who are betting on themselves, right? Who have said, you know what, I'm here to make a difference. I'm here and I'm not going to back down. I'm here to make a difference in the lives of my market, but also in the lives of my family, right? I'm here to create a new level of wealth and a new level of success, and I won't stop until it's done. And I want to make sure that if that is you, that you have all of the resources that you need. Here on the Facebook page, you have daily resources for the seriously driven woman entrepreneur, and I encourage you to use those. I also encourage you to check out our bonfire success party post. I think you're gonna love it. Let me go ahead and share this, and we will get down to business, right? I want to make sure that that we are. Oh shoot! Yeah, there we go. Here we go. All right. All right, so the 5 killers, top 5 killers of income, impact, and influence for the woman entrepreneur. The first one is a lack of clarity, right? There's a real danger in not knowing what you're building towards or what your ultimate vision is. And that danger is not just that you're going to end up somewhere that you never intended to be, right? It's not just that. And by the way, a lot of people end up in this situation where they're either busy, or too broke, or busy and broke, right? I can be broke all by myself on the beach. I don't need to be in business to be busy and broke. So the danger is that you're gonna, not just that you're gonna end up somewhere that you never wanted to be, but also that you're gonna take way too long to get to your destined destination and have a miserable time on the journey. If you are not absolutely clear about what you're building in your business. And frankly, I spent a lot of time not clear in my business, or actually I didn't think I was clear, but in the earliest years of my business, frankly, all I wanted to do was replace my full-time income so I could stay at home and work. Like, that's it and that's all. And so it took me a while when I realized, like, if Chris made back in the day, if he made like $8,000 extra on like a landscaping job, then my income would like fall back $8,000. It took me a while to realize that I was very clear in the beginning years of my business that I wanted to make ends meet. That was the goal for my business. I didn't have a vision for what this business might be one day, right? But a funny thing happened when I got really clear about what I was building, which, by the way, I'm constantly tweaking and dialing it in even more specifically, right? But when you get clear about where you're going and what you want and what it's going to look like when you get there, then you can get there faster and with a lot less hassle, carrying a lot less baggage. And so without clarity, you're going to say yes to the wrong thing. things. You're going to say no to some of the right things. And you're never going to have the magic that comes with simplicity and courage in decision making. With clarity, which is absolutely critical to your success if you want to do it on your own terms, your decisions become easier to make. A lot of people will say, well, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. Sure, you're sure about that. You just haven't had the courage to stop or to say no yet. You know what you need to do, right? And so with clarity, you can align every decision as either on purpose or off purpose. If you know exactly what you are here to do, then each decision is like, is it taking me closer to my goal or is it not? Right? It's easy peasy. It's not complex. It's not convoluted. We just have to have the courage to follow through, right? So with clarity, your decisions become easier to make, your days become more simple, and your path becomes way more clear, right? The journey to build the business that you're proud of, that creates wild success for you without having to compromise the things that are important to you, does not have to be a freaking obstacle course. We can clear the way with a very, very concise, clear vision of where we're going. With clarity, you're going to waste less time and money, and you can quickly course correct when you get distracted from time to time, which happens to all of us, right? Like our path to what we want to build in this world is never going to be like a straight line, right? It's just not going to be that way because we're human, right? And because we do get distracted and life happens, but it also doesn't have to be this long meandering back and forth, right? It takes forever. It takes a lifetime. You never get where you were destined to go. It can be like really quick little short course corrections. And so the kryptonite for lack of clarity is obviously clarity, but I have a morning routine that I suggest that involves two things. And I'm not talking like some 40-minute meditation or visualization or whatever. I'm talking like 5 to 7 minutes. A morning routine that involves one, writing out your goals in some way, shape, or form. Absolutely writing them out every single day. What do you have to lose? 5 to 7 minutes in the morning to just adjust the rudder of your day and get reminded of what you're building? The second thing that a morning routine that should include to be kryptonite to lack of clarity is spending just a couple minutes living in your future reality, just sitting in the future reality that you're creating now, sitting back, literally envisioning yourself already there, wherever there is for you. And again, these two together can take 5 to 7 minutes, and we all have 5 to 7 minutes. Side note, if you're a Women Who Wow member, if you missed this week's and last week's Weekly Hustle Challenge, I want you to go back to that. It's all about a visualization. I've never done a guided visualization before because I'm not that evolved. But I did a guided visualization, and this week was some journaling prompts. But you can do these in literally 5 to 7 minutes a day. Let's move on to impact influence and impact killer number 2, and that is unrecognized or unresolved conflict, right? This is where you have, I want this, but I don't want what I think it takes to get there. Oh my God, I cannot imagine. I don't even want to say how long I spent in unrecognized conflict or unresolved conflict. I'll never forget though, I had a client who confided with me one time. She said, I want to be one of the few self-made billionaires, self-made female billionaires in the world. And as she said that, I remember thinking, ugh, not me, right? Not me. Because I knew what it took to take my business at the time past the $1 million mark. And I wasn't willing to do what it took to build a $1 billion brand, right? And so that was my kind of limited thinking back then. I was thinking to get to X amount of success, I would have to sacrifice and compromise on the things that I really loved more, right? So, little things like I wasn't willing to have my marriage impacted. I wasn't willing to give up my simple life and exchange it for complicated and hectic, all on the altar of success. I had these competing goals. And because I had these competing goals, I want a thriving business and a healthy, passionate marriage, I often chose between them when I never had to choose, right? I always chose my marriage, even though I didn't have to choose between them. The kryptonite, when you have these unresolved conflicts where I want this, but I'm afraid that I don't want what it's going to take for me to get there, the kryptonite is the realization that this success woman is a custom creation. This success is what you are creating on your own terms. Success will not come in and overtake you like a wave, right? I will never forget when I was discussing this analogy with my coach many years ago. And I felt like I was afraid of success coming in. And if you live near the beach, you've ever been knocked down by a wave, you know how it feels. Like the wave comes in, it knocks you down, you're a little bit topsy-turvy, you come up, you take a breath of fresh air, and another wave hits. And that's how I had these competing goals. I wanted wild success, but I thought I didn't want that hectic, complicated life. And I don't, right? And my coach said, hey, success isn't going to come in like a wave and overtake you. Right? It's a custom creation. You're going to build this business brick by brick according to your specifications and your preferences. So that's the kryptonite when you have these unresolved goals, right? I also, a quick little, I guess you can consider it practical, but it really helped me is I often do what I call and affirmations, A-N-D affirmations. And essentially it's like I get to choose, I get to have both things. Like for me to have a thriving, profitable business, it actually makes my marriage better. Right? When money is flowing in, I'm a more present mother. But I had a belief back then that they were competing, and I had to choose. Like I could have money or time. I cannot. In that, I don't even want to say how long I spent there. But so I started to do these and affirmation statements. I've never heard them called that. That's what I call them. But essentially, it's like I wrote down some examples. I get to have a thriving business and a marriage that makes me proud. I get to make and impact millions and have a simple life on my own terms. I get to have a thin, lean body and enjoy the process of being there, right? Kind of rewriting those unresolved conflicts so that they were completely aligned. If you have any questions, you can always message me, m.me/womenwhowow. All right, the third killer of impact, influence, and income for women entrepreneurs is overwhelm. I don't want to go into a lot of detail with overwhelm. It sucks. Right? It sucks. It feels like everything's piling on top of you. You got so much to do, so many decisions to make. And oftentimes, overwhelm will actually paralyze you, right? And you spend days or hours feeling overwhelmed and not even chipping away at the things overwhelming you. So overwhelm sucks. The kryptonite for overwhelm is clear goals and courageous decision making. Guys, always keep it simple. Know why you're doing what you're doing, and measure whether or not it's working, right? A lot of times I would ask people when I did one-on-one consulting, I would say, what are you doing to grow your business? I want to make a list, right? Most of the time they would give me a list of like tools or softwares they were using, right? Like, I'm like, no. If I ask a contractor how to build a house, he's not just going to give me a list of tools, right? What are you doing to build your business, I would ask, right? And they'd give me a list of their actions, like I'm going to this networking meeting, I show up on this virtual mastermind, I attend this event, whatever, right? Do trade shows, whatever they did. And I would ask them, and they were overwhelmed, right? And I would ask them, why are you doing that? Like each one, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And a lot of the times they had no clear answer, meaning how could they ever measure whether or not it's working? Right? They had no clear answer for why they were doing it. They didn't know why they were doing it. They were doing it because everybody else did, or they were doing it because they hoped it would somehow pay off, right? And so overwhelm happens when we keep piling on things to do and we never take anything off, right? So then we have the day-to-day practical stuff. And we also have the emotional stuff that comes along with being an entrepreneur. And so it's easy to get overwhelmed. So the kryptonite is really courageous decision-making and clear goals. And you want to be a proud quitter. Right? You want to be a proud quitter. It's like, sometimes I remember earlier when in my coaching career, I'd say, yeah, you have total permission to quit doing that. Like quit going to that. It's not leading to anything, right? And so we can be proud quitters. Hey, that's not working, or I don't enjoy that, so I'm not going to do it anymore. The fourth thing that kills income, impact, and influence is manic marketing. This is kind of tied to overwhelm, but this is where you are throwing money and content and images out there at the market with no real plan or strategy, right? I remember I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was, and they were talking about a business that spends $1.5 million a year in advertising, and it's kind of manic, right? Like it's kind of just like they just throw stuff out there, and I would be panicked. I would be panicked to spend $1.5 million in advertising without a real solid strategy, because if you are ever at a place where your business isn't growing and you've thrown $1.5 million at it, then the only answer you have is to throw more at it and make it even more manic. So manic marketing, here's the thing. If you are doing a lot of marketing efforts and you're out there and you're networking, you're content producing, you're doing all this stuff, and you're doing it kind of manically without a plan or strategy, here's the thing. Whether it works or not, you're sort of in trouble, right? Like, if it works, you're not sure how or which parts might be working or really moving the needle. And so you're kind of locked into this manic existence, manic marketing, manic life, and it's hectic. If it doesn't work, then you're going to be afraid to do less, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm doing all this and it's not working. And so you either give up or you add more to your already overwhelmed plate. The kryptonite to manic marketing, as an aside, is strategy. Frankly, if you do not have a marketing strategy, meaning here's what I'm doing, here's exactly what I expect each of these actions to produce in my business, and here's when and how I'm measuring it. If you don't have that, then you need to stop everything you're doing and go back and figure that out, right? If you want me to help you, just message me. But the kryptonite for manic marketing is strategy. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing, what measurable benefit you're expecting it to produce, and you got to measure it and adjust accordingly. Otherwise, you pile idea and platform and funnel on top, and before you know it, your business is a mess, your marketing is a mess, you're not sure what's bringing in the clients, you're afraid to cut anything, it just becomes a mess. So the kryptonite for that is a clear strategy. Marketing and business itself, frankly, is messy. Just get used to it, right? It's messy, but it's not without rhyme or reason. It's similar to how, like, I will have like a scrap sheet of paper that has like $1 million idea on it, and I'll leave it like under 2 books and beside the notebook on my coffee table, and my husband throws it away. And I'm like, hey, where's that little teeny piece of paper? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the one that was under the 2 books beside the notebook. And he's like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. I threw that away. But there's rhyme and reason to my madness. There's rhyme and reason to my mess. It's messy, but I know exactly what everything is, right? And marketing and business is very, very similar. You just got to have a strategy. You got to have a rhyme or reason. The 5th killer of income, impact, and influence for the woman entrepreneur is the one that is it's a vein that runs through all killers of income, impact, and influence, and that is self-doubt. Self-doubt is heartbreaking for a woman entrepreneur. I hate to see it, particularly when I can see, like, Women Who Wow members, they might not always believe in themselves, but they know I believe in them. They can borrow my belief in them, right? And so when I see a woman who doesn't see what I see in her, right? When she doesn't see the potential, or she starts to doubt things about her business or her deliverable or whatever, it breaks my heart, right? Because I know that it starts to erode everything else she does. And self-doubt shows up when you're, coming into the market and you're desperately seeking affirmation or adoration or a pat on the back or association. You want people to be friends with you. It shows up when you are, trying to get somebody big their attention, and you're trying to be all fangirl about it. It shows up when you are, waiting consistently, waiting for perfection, right? It shows up being unwilling to show up because you're waiting to be perfect. It shows up when you back down, you're not willing to own it. Recently, I had sort of a issue, right? And the issue was, one of our inaugural members at Women Who Wow, she basically, I emailed her and I was like, hey, I hope the base, my normal spiel, like, I hope renewing your membership to Women Who Wow is like a foregone conclusion. I hope it's an easy decision, blah, blah, blah. If you renew by this day, then you get like these bonuses, whatever, right? And so she responds like, thinking about it, if I decide to stay, I'll send money this day, like after the deadline. And I love my members, right? And in that moment, I had like a crisis, right? I had a crisis. I had to decide, like, actually, I didn't really have a crisis because I knew what I was going to do, right? The crisis came and I was like, I don't want to offend her. I don't want her to feel like she's not valued and loved here. But I withdrew the invite, right? And I said, listen, at this point, I forget how I said it. Actually, I'll look it up, right? Because I think it's important. We have to show up and own who we are, right? One of the things about me is I'm never member hungry, and I want a hell yes energy from everybody within Women Who Wow, because it's not just hell yes to Women Who Wow, it's hell yes to their business, hell yes to their purpose, hell yes to, how they show up. And so I said, let me see, I need to take the offer to continue with Women Who Wow off the table, right? Because I don't want to thinking about it energy. That's the worst energy ever within the entrepreneur world. So self-doubt, like it shows up when you don't own who you say you are. If I was like, okay, let me know if there's anything I can do to convince you to stay, or yeah, sure, move my deadline back. If I had done any of that, I would not have been standing up for my brand. I would not have been owning who I say I was, right? And so you want to make sure that self-doubt is not creeping in anywhere in your business. The kryptonite to this is basically remembering who you are, who you were born to be. Straighten your spine and your crown, right? And get to work. These are important things to keep in mind when you are in business for yourself, right? Making sure that the self-doubt thing obliterated, that you are building your confidence in who you are on the daily, that your manic marketing, your marketing's not manic, is strategic. You have a strategy and a plan. You know how it's okay if it's messy. That's who we are. But there's got to be a strategy behind it. Overwhelm, done with clear goals and courageous decision making, right? You don't want to doubt yourself. Unresolved conflict or unrecognized conflicts, you don't have to choose. This success of yours is your creation, brick by brick. You want to remember that, right? Like you don't have to give up something that's important to you to build this business. And if anybody tells you otherwise, you need to leave, right? And then the other one is a lack of clarity, which I think that we all kind of get, because without knowing exactly where we're heading, it's really easy to go off course and waste too much time and money. So I hope this helps you guys, and I would love to talk with you, hear more about your business, and I can always be reached at m.me/Women Who Wow. If you are a seriously driven woman entrepreneur who knows she was born for more, bred for more, ready for more, definitely message me about joining Women Who Wow. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.